Hey YouTube, basically doing a video to go ahead and get a better idea and show how to set up three monitors for your computer system. Basically what you're looking at right now is two 24 inches on each end and a 32 inch in the middle. And cool thing about having the three monitors is that there's so many things you can actually go ahead and do with it. Uh, my system isn't really designed for quote unquote gaming. The fact that I have a really larger monitor in the center, and then even though I have the two in the sides and stuff like that, I don't think it'll look right once you start doing the gaming. I might be wrong. I don't really play much games as far as that. So yeah, that being said, the way I have it set up, I'll do my word processing over here, for example, and then my Facebook, my YouTube, keep track of certain trends and changes and stuff like that, and email and such. Create new tabs, over here and stuff like that. So now, as far as setting it up, it was a very interesting experience. I was basically online, and while I was online, I was looking for options how to set up my system because I do have an older system as far as that. And to go ahead and get that going, I just needed to do a couple of upgrades. For example, out of precautionary methods, I went ahead and I set up and upgraded my power supply as far as that. And then originally I bought a what they call a PCI video card, and I added it to the system thinking that my motherboard would go ahead and recognize the PCI video card, but unfortunately it didn't actually go ahead and do that. The fun thing as far as setting this up is that I'm gonna go ahead and go back here to go ahead and show you once again. My computer is kind of old. All right, now as you see here, basically what I have is my HDMI, my DVI, and then my VGA right here as far as that. The fun thing about setting this up is because originally I had a ATI video card. It was like an ATI 450, which is this guy right here. It was a pretty cool video card at its time, whatever, maybe about 10 years ago. It was a hot shot and stuff. Back then, HD, as you can see here, HD output, VGI and stuff. But unfortunately, with a lot of the video cards, you can't plug in all three at the same time and run at the same time. You can only plug a maximum of two at a time. So basically, when I had this ATI put in the system here, it wouldn't work as far as setting up the three monitors. And as I went ahead and I experimented and I did more research, this particular motherboard is an MSI motherboard. It has what they call an NVIDIA video card processor in here. So when I went ahead and I took out the ATI and I put in what I have now, which is the NVIDIA GeForce 610, as you see there, and coming over here, it's actually a GeForce 610. It has 1 gigabyte of RAM, DDR3 memory. As far as that, it's a pretty, economical, like 60, 70 bucks. You got this video card, so it's not necessarily high end as far as that, at all. But it does have the HDMI output, as you can see, and everything like that. What was kind of interesting is that my motherboard over here basically has it's dynamic. And when I say dynamic, it's adaptable. It's not static. In other words, when I go into the BIOS, which I'm about to show you in a second here, when I plug in the new NVIDIA card, the BIOS gives me options to turn on my VGA. When I plug in the ATI card, it doesn't give me that option. And the interesting thing about it is the fact that when I first, bought the NVIDIA card, stuff like that, and I noticed I had that option, I kind of like freaked out. I'm like, whoa, where did this option come from? It wasn't there before. But it ended up, being there as far as that. Now, just go ahead and come back over here. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do at this time is basically restart the computer. And to be honest with you, I'm probably gonna have to clean this bad boy out and do a fresh reinstall because I went ahead and installed so many drivers for the video cards and stuff like that, uninstalled the ATI and what have you not. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of crap lingering around, and I have noticed, that my performance ain't the way, I think it should be at. So I'm just gonna go ahead and after I get everything fully straightened out, I'm gonna go ahead and basically do a fresh install of Windows 7 and, just do a fresh clean install of the drivers for the new video card as far as that. One thing also I did learn is that you do have two different types of processors as far as manufacturers who actually make the video cards. You have the NVIDIA and then you have ATI. Now, one thing I've learned about the ATI is that when you do buy an ATI, the only way you can actually get a GPU, which that's what they actually call it, a video card, is the fact that the only way you can actually go ahead and get it to work all three of the connectors, one of them has to be what they call a native WAVPort. That means a WAVPort is just another version of a video output, which you need an adapter for most monitors and TVs to make it work. But it's actually called WAVPort. In other words, when you're shopping around for an ATI card, you have to find one with a WAVPort output. If you don't have one with a WAVPort output, basically what's going to happen is that it's not going to go ahead and work for you as far as that. Let me run over here real quick and hit the BIOS. Did I restart it or shut it down? Maybe I shut it down. Oh, there it is. So right now, what I'm going to actually go ahead and do, right now I'm in the BIOS. Now that I'm here, basically, where it says Advanced BIOS Features, right there, which is basically about the second one, when I click on it and I go to Chipset Features, over here, you see where it says On-Chip VGA Enable? Now, when I plug in the ATI card into the PCI Express slot, this don't even exist. All you see is shared memory and HPET. You don't actually see the VGA part of it. So in other words, it's basically not giving you any option at all whatsoever to go ahead and have it run with the ATI card. Okay. So and another thing too, to get into your BIOS, you restart your computer and then you would go ahead and tap your delete key right here, wherever your delete key is at, or F1 or F2 key. You keep tapping it repeatedly when you restart the computer, and then from there it'll go ahead and get you into the BIOS. Now, basically this is a new card that I went ahead and I purchased, and I'm gonna go ahead and install this bad boy in a bit. As far as that, it's an NVIDIA GeForce 730, GT730, as you can see here. And the cool thing about it is that unlike the 610 that I have in there now, this one would actually go ahead and have all three of them active as far as me going ahead and installing all three monitors to get them all to work. So basically, I won't even need my onboard video, which is this right here. I won't need that anymore unless I want to install a fourth monitor. But for the three, I could just put everything on this video card right here. Now, from 630 and up, from what I understand, this is a 610. That's why it didn't work for me. From 630 and up, as far as the chipset, you can basically plug in all three monitors in the system. Okay, so basically all three monitors would work. It just has to be 630 and up. As far as also another thing too, which I've learned, this right here is DDR3, which is the old version of the memory that they have out there. If you can go ahead and get something that is DDR5, these are actually the better versions of RAM as far as that. And interesting thing about it, I was debating between another video card that had 2 gigs of DDR3 versus 1 gig of GDR5. And everybody says hands down the GDR5 is the better RAM to go ahead and use for your video card as far as that. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in later on. Another thing too I want to mention to you is that I do have a PCI Express. I have the original PCI Express, which is right there. Basically, the newer ones have PCI 2.0, PCI 3.0. These cards that I'm installing are PCI 2.0 cards, but they're what they call backward compatible, which means that I can plug it into my system and it will still work with my system. I may not be able to take it full advantage of the full functionality as far as performance because of my limitation of my, the transfer speeds and stuff like that of my PCI Express adapter that's basically on the motherboard, that connector right there, that white thing. But at the same time, it'll still work. And to me, that's probably the most important thing, is to go ahead and get it to work as far as that. My computer looks like a jungle in here. Anyway, so that being said, basically going to go ahead and go back over here. Another thing I want to go ahead and show you, let me exit out of here, is the fact that when you do set up your system for the three monitors, take a look at another thing too. And well, actually, it's restarting. I'm gonna go ahead and trace back to another thing too. Also, is the fact that when it comes to chipsets, ATI and basically GeForce, they're two different chipsets. They're like Intel and AMD. Like if you're familiar with computers, you have the Intel processor, like the Pentium, the i7, i5, i3 core processors, and then you have the AMD, blah 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 blah. So basically, those are the two main guys in the market. PNY is a company that goes ahead and use the NVIDIA technology in here, but there's other companies like other than PNY that actually go ahead and use the 730 chipset. So you could sit there and look for GeForce GT 730, but it might be PNY, it might be another company name. So they all have their different versions of the GT 730 as far as that. So let me just come back over here. And what just happened? What did I plug in? Did I unplug anything? What the hell? Let me see something here. Can I pause? All right, screw it. Okay, control panel. All right, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do at this time is basically show you something in the display. So what I went ahead and I did, just to go ahead and show you, there's shortcuts to get there, but I figured the best way is to, you go to Start menu, you go to Control Panel, you go to Display, and then you're gonna go to change display settings. Now over here is basically where it's gonna go ahead and tell you how to turn on and how to turn off all of your monitors as far as that. And as you can see here, it's showing all three. And when I press, like, for example, identify, 1, 3, and 2. And then from here, you can move them, from one part to the next, back and forth, whatever, to adjust it. So that way you get that free flowing, whichever way you want your cursor to move. I like my cursor to move this way because I feel more free. I can hit both of them on each angle and stuff like that. Some people would like it another way around, whatever the case is. It's all good as far as that. And then what you want to do is that if any of them are black or what have you not, you just highlight it, and then it'll tell you. It'll tell you all about it. What's the resolution? What's the landscape? Whatever. Extend the desktop display means basically turn it on. You could disconnect it to disconnect it, or you can also make it your main display. Means it's gonna have all of your taskbar and a lot of times your icon. That'll be called your main display as far as that. All right. So basically, that is pretty much it as far as covering what is actually going on with setting up the system. I might go ahead and do another video as far as me plugging in the 730. But at the end of the day, in a nutshell, just do a quick summary, is that whatever motherboard you have, if you have an ATI type of chipset or what have you not on that motherboard or anything other than NVIDIA, maybe you should just go ahead and try to get a ATI GPU, which is a video card, to go ahead and put in that motherboard. If you have an NVIDIA motherboard, then maybe you should try to get an NVIDIA video card, and then from there search your BIOS, and see if you can find any hidden things that can actually help activate your or turn on or turn off and stuff like that. And another thing too, I just want to mention to you, which I didn't get to show you, is that in the BIOS, it would actually show you when you go in there and you look into the details, basically, which one do you want to go ahead and start up on your computer, as far as whether or not it's going to be the VGA or whether or not it's going to be the PCIe, as far as that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do real quick, I'm just going to go ahead and show you exactly what I'm talking about. That is important because the simple fact that when you're booting up, you want to make sure that you're booting up to the proper settings, which is, if you want to do the 3 monitors, right there. Where it says primary graphics adapter, make sure it's PCIe as far as that. If you don't, then you have the other option, which is internal. Internal means your motherboard, which is your VGA. It'll boot straight up to your motherboard and just bypass your, it'll go ahead and bypass your GPU, which is the video card that you're actually putting in there. So make sure it's PCIe as far as that. Then you escape and you save, and you should be good to go as far as that. All right, so I basically hope this helped anyone out there as far as any confusion, because Lord knows I went through my fair share of drama as far as that. I wish everybody the best of luck, and everybody take care. God bless.